Well, welcome back, everybody. We have reached the end of this nightmare of a text, all 37 chapters. Today we're going over the 37th chapter, the last one, Division 6. I hope that you have a better understanding of the variety of theories that are available to use when you do communication research. And trust me, there's many more theories than this book has shown us. So Division 6 talks about integration. And you at some point will lean toward interpretive or objective. And at times you'll have difficulty with the opposite camp. I really always preferred interpretive and I didn't like objective. But I found that although I'm in an interpretive camp, I can respect the objective side because I've read enough of it and I understand now where they're coming from. And I have done some mixed methods, which I believe actually got to the bottom line better. It's sometimes difficult finding theories that will match well, but if you can do a mixed method study, I believe you will have a better perspective of what you're looking at. So I recommend at least exploring the side you're least comfortable with. And you might find a study there that you can use your preferred method on and expand its impact. So if you are interpretive and you find an objective study about something, alcohol consumption for teenagers, communication between generations, whatever, you may be able to take that study and expand it by using your preferred method. If it was done objectively, then maybe interpretive, you can show a different side of it. And in reality, most published research is a collaboration. I have published half a dozen or so things, and probably a third of them were my creation, just myself. But the ones where I worked with other people gave it more validity, made it more solid. And I actually think we got better results because we weren't just looking at it from my interpretive perspective. We were looking at it from both the objective and the interpretive way. And if you have an expert, so to speak, that loves objective and you love interpretive, if you can work together, you can get some stuff done. And the thing about academics is you need to publish. So, common threads and common theories. Chapter 37. We finally made it to the end, folks. The final chapter identifies some commonalities in the different theories. And there's 10 things they tell you to look for. And we're going to go over those 10 things. And they actually, in the text, do a good job of explaining some of the different, how some of the different theories are connected. But motivation is the needs and desires that drive us to think, act, and feel. We need to be affiliated. It's human nature. You don't want to be by yourself. You want to be part of something. We need to achieve. You want to achieve good grades. You want to achieve your degree. You want to achieve a certain level in your industry you're working in. If it's sports, you want to achieve something in the sports realm. We want to have control over what's going on. How do we control this particular aspect? Oftentimes it's through communication that we control how a situation works. If you are a supervisor or boss somewhere, how you tell people to do things and how you explain stuff is often how you control the situation. We want to reduce uncertainty. We had the uncertainty reduction theory. And if we are, uncertain about something, it drives us crazy. We want to get rid of that. We want to reduce anxiety. How many of you come up to a final exam or a paper you have to write, and you're anxious about it. How do I get started? What do I do? We want to reduce that. Self-image. How do I see myself? How do I believe others see me? And how do they really see me? So there's a lot of identity theory out there. And, you know, I wanted to be seen as a good soldier, a good father, a good husband. But did others see me as that? I don't know. I hope they did. I wanted them to. But sometimes they actually saw me differently. And oftentimes they wouldn't tell me. We just didn't click. Credibility. How does my audience see me? Do they see me as good character, intelligent, goodwill? When I start a class in person, I always walk into the first day with a suit on because to me, that's a professional image I should put out there. And then I tell the students, where I went to school and things I've done in my life to hopefully build some credibility. Expectation. How will they react to me? If I walked into class the first day in flip-flops, shorts, and a tank top and a hat on backwards, I don't think you'd react to me too well. What the heck is this old guy doing? So I walk into the class on the first day with a suit on. I'm hoping the reaction I get is that he's a professional. And you give me a chance to build some credibility. Audience adaptation. Change your message to match your audience. How do we do that with these theories in this study? If you're researching Southern Baptist Women's Convention, and you have a survey that was created for middle-aged white men in business, the questions might not have anything to do with them. They might, why is he asking me this? So you'd adapt to that audience, change your message to match your audience. Social construction. The communal creation of the social world we live in. Some of you are devout in whatever religion you're in. And you have created a world that you think is right based on that religious experience. Somebody else is in a different religion and they have created their world. I grew up a Southern Baptist. First time I went to a Catholic mass, I was confused because they stood up, they knelt down, they sat down, they knelt down, they stood up, they all said the same prayer. It was nothing like what I had done. So the social world for religion that I grew up in, that those were the common creations of how we do things. When I went to this other service, it blew my mind because it wasn't anything. That's not how I saw religion. Shared meaning, interpretation, and mutual understanding of verbal and nonverbal messages. I know I've spoke about it once or twice in the class, but this means okay to us. This means you're an asshole in some countries. So, we have to have a shared meaning. We have to have mutually agreed upon this is what that means. Narrative. A story that has meaning and sequence that we can follow. We grew up on stories. Before you could learn to read or write, your mom and daddy was telling you stories. The fairy tales that you were told, Hansel and Gretel and all this other stuff, they were actually created to scare children, to keep them around the house so they wouldn't go in the woods because it was dangerous in the woods. So a story that has meaning and sequence that we can follow is a narrative. Conflict, the struggle over scarce resources or incompatible goals. There's a whole class at CSU called conflict resolution. And it talks a lot more in depth over that. But a lot of times we have this strange belief that this is scarce resource and we're going to get in conflict over because I want it, and you have your paycheck and it's not very big, but you have to pay rent and you have to pay utilities and you have to pay for food. And then you might want to splurge one night for a special occasion. And your significant other might say, no, we can't afford that. So the scarce resource is the little bit of money you have left over. And there's a conflict over it. Do we do what I want to do or do we do what they want to do? And then we have dialogue. It's a transparent conversation, which often ends up in agreeing to disagree. That's something that we, I think, are lacking, especially in our political world we have around us. People, this is my thought, and you're wrong. And that's not having a dialogue. That's having a conflict, and that's having an argument. But a dialogue, I'm going to listen to your side, and I hope you listen to my side, and we're transparent with one another. But if we're able to do that, we may not agree at the end. You may still be this political campaign, and I may still be this political campaign. You may still think this is the best candidate. I may still think this is the best candidate. But if you have a dialogue, at least you understand where they're coming from and why they're saying that. And finally, figure 37-1 on page 473 shows how many of these theories are tied together, what threads connect them. And there are many more on there. The book even goes an explanation. You can find, make it a class project or whatever to find more. So that's not set in stone. It's just these theories that are tied together here. If you look at the theory and you look at what you want to research, you might find 3 or 4 or 5 theories that could be used to research it. And the question is, which one is going to come up with the best answer to your question? Sometimes, like I said, it's best to do a mixed method. If you have somebody that's really good in another area and you are good in if you're good in interpretive and they're good in objective, and you can agree on a hypothesis, then that's a great place to start. And you can learn from their objective perspective. They can learn from your interpretive perspective. One thing that I was asked years ago about, it was after the BP oil spill in the Gulf, and a friend of mine did a study on whales and dolphins, and they put sonars down to find out if they were still in, because they'd done it before, and they're seeing if they're still in the same area, and they mapped where they used to be and where they are, and that is as objective as it can be. They were here, now they're here. But what I wanted to know is why. Why did they move? Now, we can't, of course, ask them, why aren't you over here anymore? If the time of the year was the same and the water temperature is roughly the same, what made them move? Could it be that what they're feeding on moved? Could it be that the oil and the water contaminated it and therefore what they fed on moved, so they moved? So without doing more research, you would not know the the interpretive side of it. But the objective side was they were here, now they're here. And so find some theories. I know that's not communication, but it's something that I love as well. So find a theory or 2 or 3 that you like and you can use to study what you're looking for. And don't get pinned down on one theory. Standpoint theory is probably my favorite, but I've honestly never used it in research because it didn't fit what I was looking for. Now I use bits and pieces of it occasionally to reinforce my study, but the whole major part of the study used a different theory. I hope that these videos and these outlines have been helpful. I hope that you have a great future. You have my email address. If you need me sometime in the future, feel free to contact me. This is the last class that I will ever teach. So I'm retiring after this. So I hope I did you well. I hope you understood. Theory is not something that you can grasp like 1 + 1 is 2. There's so many different theories. It's often confusing. So I hope you have a good start. Hope you have a great Christmas. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. And I hope you have a great life. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.